Hey guys, welcome to the 2021 NFL Draft. Guys, I'm your host, That Mutt Gamer, and today we're going to see what Madden 21 predicts teams go with in this NFL Draft, guys. So starting off right away, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars currently on the clock. Now, there's a lot of players Jacksonville would love to have in this draft, but I think honestly, if we're talking realistic here, the number one prospect, the number one player, the reason why Urban Meyer signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars is Trevor Lawrence. This man is generational. This man is next level excellence when it comes to the quarterback position. He's a guy who come in and he instantly becomes a star. This is a guy we have not seen in a very long time at quarterback who could be a legendary quarterback, and this is just amazing to see. A coach from college, a huge coach coming to the NFL, and all for one pick and one pick only, Trevor Lawrence. And again, he most likely here, I don't think Jacksonville has any area in a million years that they would not take Trevor Lawrence here. This is easily the number one pick. I don't even think there's even a choice right now. So let's go ahead and see. It looks like Jacksonville Jaguars pick is in, and they go with Trevor Lawrence out of Clemson. Like I said, no even question when it comes to what pick they were going to take. That man is an absolute monster. But now the question is the New York Jets. Do you go ahead and go with a quarterback replacement for Sam Darnold? Do you go ahead and go with a Jamar Chase big wide receiver option? They just signed a wide receiver option. Do you go with another one? Corey Davis, is he really that amazing? I don't know. Let's see how good he does, but let's see how good Jamar Chase would be with Corey Davis. Or do you go Kyle Pitts, a premier tight end slash amazing receiver in this NFL draft? You could go there. You could even go with offensive linemen. But honestly, I think a lot of people are speculating right now Justin Fields and Trey and Zach Wilson going to the New York Jets. This would be a very smart move in my opinion, because again, you got to move on from Sam Darnold. He just simply is not cutting it anymore. I know there's a lot of truthers left for Sam Darnold, but in all honesty, this is just a move. I say move on from Darnold. So let's go ahead and see. The pick is in for the New York Jets, and they are taking Justin Fields out of Ohio State. Definitely a very interesting decision there. Again, this was actually a guy that was projected to go there earlier on in the NFL mock drafts earlier this offseason. We saw a lot of people saying Justin Fields number 2 to New York Jets. Now that changed to Zach Wilson and some other prospects, but it definitely still makes sense. This guy is a absolute baller. This guy went one-on-one with Trevor Lawrence and had a phenomenal game. You cannot discount what Justin Fields can do on the field. Even though, yes, he is not the premier guy right now going up these draft boards, you guys know the NFL draft is unpredictable. Anything could happen. We could see Justin Fields go number 2. So now we have Miami on the board. Now, Miami could go a couple of different options. You have left tackle. Go ahead and shore up your offensive line. We have a really, really big guy named Sewell who could be a star player in their system. You could also go ahead and go with Jamar Chase, a star receiver. Give Tua another option at wide receiver. That's definitely a very big possibility here. Not only that, you could go with edge rusher in this draft. There's a lot of good edge rushers in this draft. We automatically think of, when we think of edge rusher, we think of Gregory. All right, always say his last name incorrectly, but we could see him go as early as number 3 to the Miami Dolphins. Kitty Payne, another star edge rusher. Again, there's a lot of good options here. Let's see where they end up going ahead and going with. And they're going to go ahead and go with Sewell here, which honestly I think is probably the smartest move. Shore up that offensive line, make the offensive line really, really good. Now, Rashawn Slater is another player who is moving up draft boards, and we could see go anytime soon. Now, of course, that man right there is an absolute monster. Playing in Oregon, this man was an absolute tank, holding up blocks. Now, there was footage of him coming out recently that really moved his draft stock, made him kind of go a little bit later in the draft. But again, like I said, at the end of the day, this is a truly talented star player. You kind of can't move on from that. We saw stuff happen in the past with Laremy Tunsil, where he actually got moved out of his pick because of videos coming out right before the draft, and that definitely hurt him. So this is definitely going to be interesting to see if this man does drop in any capacity, but I think most likely we will see him go top 5, if not top 10. So now Atlanta Falcons on the clock. Now they have a couple options they could go with. They're kind of stuck with Matt Ryan for the next 2 years. Currently they cannot move on from Matt Ryan. So the question is, do they go with quarterback here? Because there are some really good quarterbacks left. We still have Trey Lance, we still have Zach Wilson, and we still have Mac Jones. 3 really good prospect quarterbacks in this draft. But there's also other options. You have an option in Micah Parsons, a really good linebacker who can cover majority of the field. And what we saw from the Super Bowl was Devin White really made an impact in the Super Bowl, which really propelled these linebackers to go to the next level and become really truly top 5 picks. The Atlanta Falcons, the pick is in, and they're going to go ahead and take Micah Parsons out of Penn State. Now, I believe that's a truly amazing pick. Penn State linebacker Micah Parsons, this man is, like I said before, he is next level. We saw Devin White in the Super Bowl, how much he has propelled the linebacking position, and this truly is remarkable that they went ahead and, it propelled seeing these guys drafted in the top 5. And we might see these guys drafted in top 5 in a very, very in the future many times, because these guys, especially if you can get a really, really good linebacker like that, you can change the game, definitely change the defense drive, definitely change, your whole entire scheme. So definitely amazing pick right there. Micah Parsons, definitely a great pick. Now, Cincinnati Bengals is the next guy off the board. Now, who do they check? They have a lot of different options they could go with. This is where we could see Rashawn Slater go, because again, Cincinnati, they need a left tackle. They need an offensive lineman, but they could also go with Jamar Chase. After losing AJ Green, you have to fill that hole that is left. You have T. Higgins, and you also have Tyler Boyd, but do you go ahead and go another wide receiver, which they do love the receivers, or do you protect your quarterback and go with offensive lineman? Again, Wyatt Davis is another player who's really highly touted in this NFL draft, and he is going up in the draft order. So this is definitely someone where they could go ahead and go with him, but they could also go with Kyle Pitts here. They don't really have a premier tight end right now. Why not give your young rookie, not rookie at the time, not rookie anymore, but young quarterback a really premier tight end? And it looks like Cincinnati will go ahead and go with Gregory. Okay, so they go with edge rusher out of Miami, a guy we were talking about just a second ago, about how he is still going to be probably a top 10, if not top 15 pick with how good he truly is. Cincinnati is going to go ahead and take him. Now, this is an interesting pickup because they did go ahead and let Carl Lawson leave in free agency. They actually went ahead and paid another guy to replace Carl Lawson. They actually paid Trey Hendrickson to replace Carl Lawson. Now, they paid him the exact same amount of money that Carl Lawson got, so that is a very interesting decision. And now they're going to go ahead and pair their new Trey Hendrickson with Gregory here. I definitely think this is a very, very good pick, but I would honestly rather see them going with a left tackle. I'd rather see them going with offensive linemen, really help Joe Burrow out. Joe Burrow is coming off a huge injury here, and you want to get him as much protection as possible. I'm not saying this is a bad pick by any stretch of imagination. I'm just saying I would probably rather go with somebody else. So now the Philadelphia Eagles are on the clock. Now, the Eagles could go with very much different things. They could go with quarterback. I personally would not. If I'm the Eagles here, I would stay away from quarterbacks. You already ruined the whole Carson Wentz thing. Jalen Hurts got benched last year. That definitely was a possibility that could ruin them, for the fact that, now his confidence is shot. I think right here, the pick is Jamar Chase. 100% the pick is Jamar Chase right here. 6th overall pick. He is a premier receiver. He is finally an option for the Eagles to have, that he's going to be a star. Right now in the NFC East, we see Michael Gallup as the star. Amari Cooper, the Cowboys have. Now Kenny Golladay signed with the New York Giants. And then Washington football team, they already have Scary Terry. I do not see why you do not go with Jamar Chase here. The only other guys say Jamar Chase or Jalen Waddle. I cannot see them passing up on these two guys. If they do, this would be probably a mistake on their part. But the Eagles pick is in, and the Eagles will be taking wide receiver Jamar Chase out of LSU. This, in my opinion, was a fantastic pick. Now, let's go ahead and talk about this man. This man is an absolute monster. This man was a Heisman Trophy winner, and this man is an absolute god when it comes to catching the football. This was an amazing addition to the Philadelphia Eagles, giving Jalen Hurts another option at wide receiver. Last year and the year before that has been a joke for Philadelphia when it comes to receiving core, and this is finally something that Eagles fans can look at and say, wow, we got ourselves a premier receiver. We got ourselves a star at wide receiver, and this was a great pick by the Philadelphia Eagles. Now Detroit Lions are on the clock. Now Detroit has a couple options. They just got got rid of Matthew Stafford and got Jared Goff in a trade. But the thing about this, guys, is that they also went ahead and lost two other wide receivers. They lost, first off, Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones. So now you have two receivers gone. You just got a quarterback. You just got 2 first-round picks. What are you doing with this pick? And all honesty, I think you have to take Jalen Waddle here. You have to replace the receivers you lost. They have not done that in free agency so far, and I think this would be an amazing pick to go with a wide receiver here and help your new quarterback out to go ahead and get better. So let's go ahead and see who they pick. Lions pick is in, and they take Jalen Waddle out of Alabama. Definitely an amazing option. And this is something we saw that, honestly, I think if the Eagles does not take Jamar Chase will go to the Lions. There is no way in heck I could see the Lions passing up on an option like this. Passing up on a premier receiver, especially with all the guys they lost currently. The only other guy I could see them taking is maybe Kyle Pitts. But honestly, I think TJ Hawkinson is a really good option. So I say honestly go with a wide receiver here. Very, very good pick by the Detroit Lions. And now Carolina's on the clock. Now this is, in my opinion, the easiest pick they can make. You take a quarterback. You take your franchise quarterback. You have a pick between two different quarterbacks. You have Zach Wilson and you have Trey Lance. There's no way you pass up on quarterback right now. Now this offseason, they have fielded calls for Mr. Teddy Bridgewater, but they did not take any trades because they were waiting to see in the NFL draft how it would play out. Would they be able to get a quarterback in this NFL draft? And what it looks like is they are going to be able to right here go ahead and make your pick, Carolina, take your franchise quarterback and take this team to a Super Bowl. Let's see. Carolina picks in, and Carolina takes cornerback Patrick Surtain II from Alabama. Now, this is a premier cornerback. There is a lot of good cornerbacks in this draft. Don't get me wrong. This is not by any stretch of imagination a bad pick. I just still think they should take a quarterback here. But let's talk about Patrick Surtain. This man is a monster in coverage. This man is a monster with his hands. This man is a monster cornerback. Definitely a decent pick. But at the same time, though, I would rather see them take somebody else. Take a quarterback. You have two quarterbacks on the board right now. And this is where Denver is now on the clock. And what do? They have Drew Lock. Drew Lock has not been working out for them. They need a quarterback replacing Drew Lock. Then you also look at the fact that they also need some defensive pressure, defensive playmakers. They got Bradley Chubb. Von Miller right now is on I think he's on some kind of contract. I'm not sure they're going to keep him or not. There's a lot of options they could go here. We could see Micah Parsons go. Sorry, not Micah Parsons. We could see some other options go. So let's go ahead and see who they pick. Denver Broncos pick is in. and they're taking Trey Lance out of North Dakota State. This pick makes 100% sense. You have to take a franchise quarterback. I'm really surprised Carolina missed out on this one. I have no idea why they did not take him, but this definitely means the Drew Lock era in Denver is over. They are done with Drew Lock. They're moving on from him, and now you have Trey Lance coming in here and most likely being a star for the Denver Broncos. I love this pick. I think this pick was fantastic. This is definitely a pick I would have went with, and again, as they're picking what they're picking, I don't see them taking anybody else. Yes, you could go cornerback, but they just signed Kyle Fuller. They just signed him to a big contract. There's no point to go ahead and go with anyone else but get your franchise quarterback right here. Now the Dallas Cowboys are on the clock. Now here, I gotta say, you have to take Kyle Pitts. There's a couple guys you could take. You could take cornerbacks here. You could take other positions, but I think you have to take Kyle Pitts here. That is, in my opinion, the best player on the board right now. If you're the Dallas Cowboys, this is honestly no debate. This man is an absolute monster. 6'5", 239 pounds. This guy can do everything you want and some. I don't see any other options other than maybe Caleb Farley, but I think you have to go ahead and go with the star here. And let's see the Dallas Cowboys. The star is making a pick. They're going to take Wyatt Davis, offensive guard. Okay, so let's talk about Wyatt Davis. Who is Wyatt Davis? Wyatt Davis is a guy who, going in the last couple months, was a second round pick. He was projected to go in the second round, maybe late first, but usually early second. After the last couple weeks, he has been moving up draft boards, mock drafts, and talking about maybe going in the top 25 picks. Now we're seeing him go in the top 15 picks to the Dallas Cowboys. This is a very interesting pick by the Dallas Cowboys, but not a dumb pick by any stretch of the imagination. The Cowboys have their issues with their offensive line. So what do? You fix that offensive line. You just signed Dak Prescott to a 4-year contract, $140 million. You give him an offensive lineman to help him out. He has a star receiving core. He has a star offense. Give him what he needs. Now the New York Giants are on the clock. This is an interesting pick because they could go a lot of different options here. They could go with tight end in Mr. Kyle Pitts. They could also go with edge rusher, linebacker, cornerback, or wide receiver. We still have Jalen Waddle on the board, and we still have Devontae Smith. Do you go with not Jalen Waddle. They have Devontae Smith still on the board. Do you go with wide receiver here? Do you go with tight end here? You could also go with edge rushers. A lot of good edge rushers on the board. Or do you take Zach Wilson here? Honestly, I think if they do not take Zach Wilson here, we're going to see Zach Wilson go to the 49ers here with the next pick. But the New York Giants pick is in. Let's see who they take. And they take Christian Darrisaw, right tackle from Virginia Tech. Now, this man is a premier right tackle. This man comes out here and he will destroy anyone he goes against. This is a great pick for the New York Giants. Honestly, like I said, I expected them to go maybe somewhere else, but they could have gone anywhere with this pick. Shoring up the offensive line is definitely a very important decision to make, and I definitely understand them going with this man right here. San Francisco 49ers. Now, this is a very crazy pick because they have to take quarterback here. You have Zach Wilson, who's projected to go number 2 overall, falling to you right now with this pick. How do you not take Zach Wilson out of BYU? This man is an absolute GOAT. I cannot see them going ahead, especially with the injury history of Jimmy G. How do you miss out on a franchise quarterback? Don't make the same mistake Carolina made. Let's see what they do. Pick is in, and they're going to go ahead and take Caleb Farley, Virginia Tech. Now, this is something that does happen in the NFL draft, and we are seeing Zach Wilson out of BYU dropping in this NFL draft. This is something, again, does happen when it comes to real life, but this is something that's very interesting, especially because the Jets passed on Zach Wilson. Why is he dropping so much? I have no idea, but we saw this in the real life NFL draft when Alex Smith got picked number 1 over Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers dropped to the 23rd overall pick. A lot of teams that need quarterbacks passed up on Rodgers because the 49ers passed up on him. And now we're seeing the same concept happen with the New York Jets. They passed up on Zach Wilson, and now a lot of teams are passing up on Zach Wilson. I do not see him getting past the Patriots here, and especially with the picks available here right now, Chargers and Vikings, I see honestly the Patriots and Bill Belichick might get their franchise quarterback with Zach Wilson. So now the Chargers are on the clock. Who do they take? Again, they have to take offensive linemen. There's no way in anything possible, especially with the corners taken off the board now, you do not take an offensive lineman here. You have to. There's a lot of good offensive linemen left. There's a lot of good options we have, of course, in this draft. Let's go ahead and see the LA Chargers pick is in. And they take Sam Cosmi, left tackle. Absolutely makes sense. Definitely understand this pick. Again, like I said, you have to show up the offensive line. You have to make it better for your quarterback. They signed Corey Lindsey in this offseason. Then you go ahead and get a premier left tackle like this. This is an absolute great pick. Definitely makes sense for the LA Chargers to go ahead and go with right here. So now the Minnesota Vikings are on the clock. Now they have a couple different options. They need offensive linemen, they need a safety, they need an edge rusher, and they need a tackle. So who do you go with? Honestly, I say probably someone of offensive lineman, someone in that perspective. There's no way they go ahead and get away from offensive linemen like that. Well, let's go ahead and see. Pick is in, and they take Kyle Pitts. Interesting pick right here. So the Minnesota Vikings this offseason lost Mr. Kyle Rudolph, a premier tight end for them, a premier player for them. So them going ahead and losing him, they needed someone to replace their tight ends. They love their tight ends. They love going ahead and running two wide receiver sets with tight ends on the field at all time in case they need to run it, in case they need to throw it. So this is a obvious choice for the Minnesota Vikings. They could go with offensive linemen, but it seems like they just don't see any offensive linemen they personally like. So you know what? Take the next best option. Take the best receiving tight end in this draft. Take the best tight end in this draft. And they go with Kyle Pitts here. Very smart decision. Definitely makes a lot of sense. So now we have the New England Patriots. Now, if Bill Belichick isn't literally dancing in his room right now and just smiling like crazy because he just has Zach Wilson from BYU dropping in this draft right to him. He has him right in his palms, ready to go ahead and hit that pick button and take him and make him the next New England Patriots quarterback behind Cam Newton, but most likely would start in front of Cam Newton after a couple of games. And New England pick is in. And who do they take? J.C. Horn, cornerback, South Carolina. Oh my God. The Jets might have just ruined Zach Wilson. The Jets might have just ruined Zach Wilson here, guys. He is still on the board. He is still a prospect. I have no idea why he has not been taken yet. We have seen so many quarterback-needing teams just going ahead and completely passing up on Zach Wilson here and not taking him in this draft. I can't see why, in all honesty. I mean, he is the best prospect, one of the best prospects in this draft. Interesting pick. Well, now we have Arizona on the clock, and we know they're not taking quarterback. We know they're going to go ahead and most likely take a cornerback, running back, or inside lineman. Most likely here, let's go ahead and see who they pick. Arizona Cardinals pick is in. They take Eric Stokes out of Georgia. Like I just said, number one need, cornerback. This offseason, they lost Patrick Peterson. They lost Hassan Reddick. They lost some defensive options. They need to go ahead and start rebuilding that defense, and it starts with cornerback Eric Stokes. Going ahead and bringing him in to be a star for them, definitely great pick here. Definitely makes sense. Like I said, they want to take in a quarterback, but here's another team that might take a quarterback. The Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock. This offseason, they talked about trading Marcus Mariota, end up going ahead and just cutting him altogether because no teams were interested. There was some speculation that some teams interested in Marcus Mariota, but they ended up not going ahead and getting a deal done. They said the Raiders want way too much for their player, so therefore they cut him. Derek Carr is still a starter here, but who do the Raiders need? They need offensive linemen. They cut 4 of their 5 offensive linemen, trading one of them and cutting the other 3. They have 1 offensive lineman still on the roster from last year, guys. They went ahead and cleaned house when it comes to offensive linemen. They brought in Yannick Ngakoue. That was a great pick. Then they go ahead and they lose wide receiver. They lose Nelson Aguilar. You have to go ahead and speculate here. This is going to be an offensive lineman. There's no way this is not an offensive lineman in this pick right here. They could also go linebacker. They could also go inside lineman, tackle, inside lineman, safety, or inside defensive line. Now, the thing is, though, this is John Gruden, and John Gruden is so random. Let's see the pick. The pick is in for the Las Vegas Raiders. Cornerback Sean Wade out of Ohio State. Wow. That was an interesting pick. Definitely say out of the picks, I was not expecting Las Vegas to go with a cornerback here. If I had to make a pick here, I would definitely speculate them going with a going with an offensive tackle, maybe a guard, something like that. That was an absolute crazy pick. Was not expecting that in this draft at all. So let's go ahead and talk about the Miami Dolphins. Back on the clock. Last time they picked number 3. Who did they take? A left tackle, Sewell. So now they shoot up their offensive tackle spot. Do they go wide receiver here? We still have some receivers available in this NFL draft, guys. We still have Mr. Devonta Smith and Terrence Marshall and Rashad Bateman. Go receiver here, get a star receiver in this NFL draft, or do they go edge rusher? Very possible to go edge rusher here or go running back. Let's see what Miami does. Their pick is in. Kitty Payne, edge rusher out of Michigan. Definitely an absolute monster. I talked about this in the top 5 picks. This guy could have went top 5. This guy could have been a top 5 pick easily. This man is an absolute monster. Applying pressure, getting to the quarterback, and making plays. That's all this man is about. Definitely makes 100% sense that Miami would take him. Now, again, like I said, I did not put that. I put that on their list for a reason. 3 needs: wide receiver, edge rusher, running back. They took the edge rusher. They took the middle of the 2. Definitely a monster pick right there. Now, Washington football team was on the clock. Now, this is where we could see Zach Wilson go. They picked up Ryan Fitzmagic, but guess what? He's not going to be a star for them. They already have Tyler Heineke. He was decent for them last year, but this is where you take your franchise quarterback. He either goes, in my opinion, to the Washington football team or he goes to Chicago. There's no way Zach Wilson gets past both these teams, because then we're talking about the Steelers and possibly, and that's pretty much it after that. Let's see. Washington football team pick is in. Jeremiah, left outside linebacker for Notre Dame, goes to the Washington football team. So Washington, this offseason, they have been busy. Going ahead and picking up a cornerback, going ahead and picking up a wide receiver, and now picking up a left side linebacker in the NFL draft. I'm interested, man. I'm very interested in this pick. Obviously, pick up William Jackson and Mr. Curtis Samuel was really good pickups in free agency, and now you show up that defense. You show up that defense even more. Their defense is already studded out with so many different amazing picks, and now you go ahead and just add another amazing pick to that defense. So now we have Chicago on the clock. Now, Chicago signed this offseason Andy Dalton. They also went ahead and tried to trade 3 first-round picks, 2 starting players, and a 3rd-round pick for starting quarterback Russell Wilson. They gave the house for Russell Wilson. They went to the grocery store, said, hey, we want Russell Wilson. They said, here's Andy Dalton, and they went home with Andy Dalton. What does this mean? This means you take Zach Wilson here. There is no at all question. You take Zach Wilson here, you take your franchise quarterback, and you go home and you tell Dalton, I'm sorry, but you're not the starter anymore. Also, side note, Dalton actually said on Twitter yesterday he's a starter. He's officially the starter. So, Chicago Bears pick is in. And there you go. Zach Wilson from BYU is finally going to be picked here, and he goes to the Chicago Bears. So now you lose Trubisky if you're Chicago. You go ahead and you get a brand new quarterback, Andy Dalton, and you're already ticked off Bears fans because you lost out on Russell Wilson sweepstakes. Well, guess what? Now you're being handed a star quarterback from BYU in Zach Wilson. You're getting a playmaker, you're getting a winner, and you're getting a star to go ahead and back up Andy Dalton. Now, I don't think Andy Dalton's going to be a starter for very long when you have a stud like this coming in the game and making a difference right away. This man is an absolute baller. I cannot believe he dropped this far in this draft. I 100% would say I was not expecting this in this draft, but the Indianapolis Colts are now on the clock. All right, Colts need offensive tackle, cornerback, wide receiver. So who do you take here? Honestly, I say if I'm looking at the draft board right here, there's a lot of options still available. Elijah Tucker, I don't see how you pass up on him. I don't see how you pass up on him or Rashawn Slater. Jalen Mayfield is another star who could go in this draft right here. We could also see Devonta Smith. But if I'm picking, and if I'm the owner of, or the GM of the Colts, I'm taking Elijah Tucker here. I'm not even asking questions. I'm putting Elijah Tucker on the sheet, and I'm telling Mr. Goodell, take Elijah Tucker. The Indianapolis Colts have picked their pick, and let's see. Dylan Moses, middle linebacker from Alabama. So, yeah, this is not Elijah Tucker, but this is still a star player. Let's talk about Dylan Moses. Again, I'm going to go ahead and have clips on the screen of Dylan Moses playing. This man's an absolute monster. Now, this is something that I did not expect him to take, but you know what? It makes sense. Shore up that defense even more. That defense last year was star-studded. Leonard was an absolute monster for them. Having that defensive pass rush, having that linebacking core be amazing. Just keep adding to it. If I'm the Indianapolis Colts fan right now, I'm kind of maybe a little upset I didn't get an offensive tackle. But listen, you're getting a playmaker. Although offensive linemen, are needed, they aren't playmakers all the time. They aren't guys that go ahead and make big splashes. This is a big splash for Dylan Moses. Tennessee Titans are now on the clock. Tennessee, what are you going to do, man? You guys picked up this offseason a pass rushers. Getting Bud Dupree from the Pittsburgh Steelers, absolute monster player to get. But the question is, they need cornerback, wide receiver, offensive tackle, and safety. So, who do you take here? You got Devonta Smith. Replace Corey Davis with Devonta Smith. I think that's an absolute star option. But you got Rashad Bateman. If you guys don't know Rashad Bateman, this man's a speedster. This man's a speed demon. Go ahead and replace Corey Davis with a star like Rashad Bateman. That's another really good option here. And finally, you could go with Elijah Tucker. Elijah Tucker or Rashawn Slater. Mayfield still on the board. You have three really star premier left tackles you could go ahead and add to your lineup on this pick. Tennessee Titans pick is in. And they take Jay Tuffley, D tackle. Okay, so this is an interesting pick. This is a pick where, again, like I said, they did go ahead and need their outside of their main positions. Their secondary needs were inside defensive line. Makes sense to go ahead and go with this guy. This guy is an absolute monster. Definitely makes sense to go ahead and continue to build that defensive line. You got Bud Dupree. You got another pass rusher. Just keep building that defensive line, making it even better and better. Not the pick I would have went with, but definitely makes sense to go ahead and go with this pick. New York Jets are now on the clock. Jets, you already just got your star quarterback. You got Justin Fields. Now, go ahead and take a star receiver. Go ahead. You already got, what's his name? You already got in the offseason Corey Davis. Go take Devonta Smith here. Take a star receiver. Pair him with your star quarterback. You got another star in Corey Davis. Go ahead and take him. And the Jets pick is in. And they're taking D tackle Marvin Wilson out of Florida State. This makes sense, actually. It does make sense. You have, of course, a star quarterback pick now. You have to have a defense that can go ahead and keep him in the game. Yes, he's going to make some mistakes. Yes, he's going to, have bad days because of the fact that, of course, you're the New York Jets. You need a lot. They need a lot of help in this next season. And just having a quarterback and a wide receiver, just having a couple offensive players is not going to be what they need to do. They need to go ahead and get a defense. Start stirring up a defense. Start making some good picks on defense. This does make a lot of sense, and I'm definitely not surprised they went ahead and went with this one. Pittsburgh Steelers are now on the clock. All right, Pittsburgh. Big Ben is old. He's going to retire soon. Mac Jones is on the board. You have to take a quarterback here. If I'm Pittsburgh, I have to take a quarterback. You don't need, you could go ahead and replace, the guy they just lost in Bud Dupree. The needs for this pick is cornerback, offensive tackle, running back, inside lineman, or linebacker. But I feel like if I'm Pittsburgh here, I'm taking a quarterback. But some other options they can take, you can take Najee Harris here, premier running back. They went ahead and lost Mr. Can't think of the name, the running back they had. But they lost their running back. They lost a couple options. They lost some offensive linemen. Replace your offensive lineman here. Elijah Tucker still on the board. Mayfield still on the board. You could also go with Najee Harris. There's a lot of different options. And Pittsburgh Steelers pick is in. And they're going to take D-tackle Jalen Twyman, D-tackle out of Pittsburgh. All right. A lot of D-tackles going in a row here, guys. A lot of D-tackles going in a row here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just say I understand the pick here, okay? You lost Bud Dupree. You lost some defensive linemen. You lost some pass rush. What do? You take a D-tackle. Now, I really don't agree with it. You lost a center. You lost a left tackle. I really see you take Elijah Tucker here. Maybe a quarterback. Oh, maybe a running back and Najee Harris. I just don't see you take a D-tackle. But, again, it's one of those picks where, hey, they did what they did. So now Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. Jacksonville, you took your quarterback, right? You took your star quarterback right now, right? Trevor Lawrence. Take a star, either receiver, Devonta Smith, or take a star offensive tackle. Go ahead and go out there. Get Elijah Tucker. Go ahead and go out there and get Mayfield. There's a couple offensive linemen still on the board you can take that can be stars for you. You have your star quarterback. Now go out there and take your second star playmaker. Jaguars pick is in. And they take Devonta Smith out of Alabama. This makes absolute sense. Now, this also kind of fluffed over the Baltimore Ravens, who might have had this man on their radar, especially picking number 27. Baltimore said they're not going to go ahead and take any big receivers in this free agency, and they did not. They only offered one contract to one receiver, and that was Mr. Juju Smith-Schuster. But Devonta Smith, other than Jamar Chase, in my opinion, probably second best receiver in this draft. I think Jalen Waddle's amazing, but I think Devonta Smith also very amazing. Very, very underrated player. Very amazing player. Definitely going to work out very well. And then you go ahead and get Urban Meyer, and then he takes a star quarterback and a star receiver. This is looking like Jacksonville is about to be back in AFC Championship land very, very shortly. Cleveland Browns are now on the clock. Brownies, hi. What are you guys doing? You guys just destroyed the Steelers in the playoffs. Then you go ahead and lose the second round to the Chiefs without Patty Mahomes. Come on, man. Nah, for real, though, they do need an edge rusher, inside defensive lineman, wide receiver, or cornerback. So a lot of different options they need here. If I'm them, I'm going with edge rusher here. I'm going edge rusher and giving Myles Garrett someone else to help him in that defensive line system. Let's see. The Browns pick is in. And they take left side linebacker Joseph Osaya. Makes sense. Like I said, get a weapon that is a good pass rusher that's going to be able to get to the quarterback. Makes absolute sense here. Not surprised by this pick by any stretch of the imagination. Now, Baltimore Ravens are on the clock. Baltimore, there is a lot of players you could go with here. There's a lot of offensive linemen. You got to go with Sean Slater here, okay? Listen, we're going to lose Orlando Brown, right? The Baltimore Ravens are going to lose Orlando Brown. They're going, eventually, they're going to go ahead. They need a center. they need a right tackle, and they need some kind of pass rusher. They lost Yannick Ngakoue. I'm not sure what's going on with Calais Campbell, but they need another pass rusher. They re-signed Tyrus Bowser to a contract. Baltimore, you have to go offensive tackle here. If I'm the Ravens, the pick is in. Let's get it, boys. Center, Creed Humphrey. Best pick of Baltimore's draft right there. Last year, what was Baltimore's main issue? Their center. They had Mascara. He fumbled the snap a million times. He got moved to guard. Then you have a new guy come in. He messes up. In the playoffs versus Buffalo, how did they lose the playoff game? They throw a pick six. Next drive later, ball snapped over Lamar Jackson's head, and then Lamar ended up getting hurt on the play because the ball was incorrectly snapped. But the whole entire game, that game and against the Tennessee Titans, we saw the ball get snapped over Lamar's head. The ball get completely incorrectly snapped. This is an amazing pick for Baltimore. You have to get yourself a premier offensive lineman, a premier center. They missed out on Corey Linsley in this free agency. Go ahead and take in the draft. Get a star player. Creed Humphrey, welcome to the Baltimore Ravens. New Orleans Saints, on the clock. The Saints. All right, so you can take Mac Jones here. You can. You just signed the quarterback, Taysom Hill, to a 4-year, $140 million contract. All 4 years being voidable. You have Jameis Winston you just signed to a contract. I don't hate taking Mac Jones here. Why not? You get a 5th-year option now that you took him in the first round. It's the end of the first round, so it's going to be less money than an early first-round pick. And you're able to go ahead and actually have a guy who maybe could develop into a star player. But who do they need? Wide receiver, cornerback, and edge rusher. I say if I'm right now, the New Orleans Saints, I'm putting in Rashad Bateman. I'm right now writing the card for Rashad Bateman if I am Sean Payton. That rhymed without me trying, okay? Guys, I'm taking Rashad Bateman here. There's no question about that. Take a star receiver to give to Jameis Winston other than Michael Thomas to go ahead and become a star. Let's see. The pick is in. And they take Rashawn Slater, right tackle. Again, I've been saying this since probably the 13th overall pick. Someone has to take this man. He could go top 5, top 10. We could see him top 15. The fact he dropped all the way down to the 28th overall pick, I think, is honestly embarrassing. This is definitely not very smart by these teams to go ahead and pass up on a talent like this. This man is the next... I almost said Jonathan Ogden. I don't want to say that. He's not. But this man is an absolute monster. Definitely makes a lot of sense for them picking here. Definitely makes sense for this guy going to this location. The Green Bay Packers are now on the clock. Packers need offensive tackle, wide receiver, cornerback, inside defensive lineman, and linebacker. So you take Mayfield here. You got to take Mayfield here. You could take Rashad Bateman. He's another possibility you could take here. But I'm going to say you probably take Mr. Mayfield. But you also have Elijah Tucker still on the board. Elijah Tucker and Mayfield still on the board. So it's kind of a toss-up, in my opinion, on who do you take here. Do you take a star left tackle or star left guard? Let's see. The Green Bay Packers pick is in. Tyson Campbell, cornerback, Georgia. All right, so like I said, that was definitely a big need for them. What did we see in the NFC Championship game last year? They got beat on a one-play touchdown before halftime because Desmond King couldn't cover. Rest of the game, their defense having issues because their defense couldn't cover. Their secondary, other than Juan Alexander, absolutely abysmal when it comes to cornerbacks. Safeties, they're amazing. They got Donnell Savage. They got really good safeties. But cornerbacks-wise, that was their issue. Go ahead and shore it up in this first round here with this first-round pick. Makes absolute sense right here. Definitely a great pick by the Green Bay Packers. Buffalo Bills is now on the clock. All right, if you're the Bills, you need cornerback, edge rusher, and wide receiver. Those are the 3 options you need here. Honestly, if I'm the Bills, I'm taking Rashad Bateman. I'm going to say this a million times because he is an amazing receiver. But if you're not taking Rashad Bateman, We'll see what they end up taking, because I'm not sure who they're going to take outside of Rashad Bateman. But let's see. The Buffalo Bills pick is in. Pat Muth, tight end from Penn State. All right. Now, this makes sense. They tried this offseason to get Gronkowski back. You guys do not know, Gronkowski is actually from Buffalo. So it made sense. They tried to get him to stay with Buffalo. End up going ahead and not staying with Buffalo. And he ends up going ahead and going back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So what do? You couldn't get Gronkowski. You go ahead and take Pat Muth right here from Penn State. Now, guys, real fast, when I did this draft, I actually switched up, like I just simmed the Super Bowl, and it had the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. So keep in mind that this pick would be the Chiefs, and then the Buccaneers pick would be the Buccaneers. So these last two picks are just switched up, just saying. All right, so technically the Kansas City Chiefs would be here right now, but because this messed up and they had the man thought the Chiefs was going to win the Super Bowl, yeah, this pick is actually a little bit mixed up. All right, so Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It doesn't really matter because it's the 31st, 32nd. But anyway, though, Tampa Bay Buccaneers here. They need inside defensive lineman, wide receiver, inside offensive lineman, edge rusher, and running back. Honestly, Elijah Tucker, guys. Elijah Tucker. And this is actually my pick. I'm going to go ahead and advance the next pick. And they take Jason, I don't say his last name, left outside linebacker from Penn State. Makes sense. It definitely makes sense to take a left outside linebacker here. Shore up that defense. Make a little bit better on that defense. Like I said, they did need an edge rusher. So go ahead and give them a little edge rusher right there. Not bad by any stretch of the imagination. 32nd pick. The Kansas City Chiefs are now on the clock. Chiefs. Whoa. You need offensive tackle, wide receiver, linebacker, and inside lineman. They went ahead and cut both of the linemen, the left and right tackle, Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz. They picked up Joe Thuney. Kyle Long, most likely going to be right tackle. I'd say you pick up Elijah Tucker here. You get Elijah Tucker here, and you make a star out of this. Let's see. The Kansas City Chiefs pick us in. And they take Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota. I've been talking this guy up this whole entire draft, and this pick makes absolute sense. Go ahead and take yourself a star receiver here, the speed demon, to add with your other speed demons, Tyreek Hill and McCole Hardman. Makes absolute sense. They also tried to go ahead and pick up Juju Smith-Schuster, but he actually ended up turning them down. Guys, if you did enjoy this video, hit that like, hit the subscribe button down below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.